the smell of grass and leather. There were days when we'd play too. We'd cross the lines when the sun would shine and make our dreams come true. I had a glove on my hand and a girl in the stands. She stole my heart like a hit and run. It seems the world was so much simpler back then. We was just out there for fun. I pray for someone to hold your hand, and baseball in the summer, someone to walk with you when this world grows cold. Baseball in the summer, baseball in the summer.
Look at this, like right on time, like as if, he was going to have to run foul poles if he didn't show up exactly on time. We have Brett Gibson, who may be the first person to report for a podcast that didn't have technical issues, didn't have to go get a drink, didn't have to take a piss. Brett Gibson is here with the Brock v. Mac legendary podcast series, and it is Mac. It's a Mac cast, so that means it's all about the colors that he's wearing.
That's right. Represent.
Yeah. Brett, why don't you tell everybody what you're up to these days, and why don't we just pick up with where you are today?
Yeah, absolutely. Living in Kingston, Ontario currently, married, 3 kids, coaching my oldest baseball team, U15 here in Kingston, loving it. It's nice to all the instruction, all the good details I picked up through McMaster and the rest of my career. It's nice to give it to these young men here in Kingston, and it's been a lot of fun to date for sure. Currently working for a transportation company, have been for some time. Cat Inc. is the company I'm working for. Been through operations, been through customer service side, working closely with courier side. We work with Pure Later and UPS, FedEx, a few different ones to name there. And that's what I'm up to here in Kingston.
Amazing. What brought you to Kingston? Was Kingston where you grew up, or just random?
No, born and raised in Brantford. I did meet my wife at McMaster, so she ended up teachers college in Queens. She was living in Kingston with her family, did her high school here, so made the trip after graduating, and this is it.
As a fellow person who was born in Brantford, Ontario, you traded up, baby. That's all I got to say.
Oh, there you go.
It's exciting. Kingston's a great city. You must really enjoy it. It's definitely got its charm, especially in the summer.
Yeah, it's there's nothing like it. The downtown is something else. Living on the lake is pretty nice around here. We actually live in the West End, so it's a little bit of a trek to get down there, but it's something that we definitely enjoy.
Amazing. Well, why don't we go back to our Brantford roots?
There you go.
And why don't you get us started with, how you developed the love for sports, and maybe a bit of your growing up period before you went to McMaster. Tell me about life in Brantford.
Yeah, absolutely. Grew up in a sports nuts family, one would say. Mother played softball growing up with her sisters as well. My uncle was a ball player, cousin's ball player. Grandfather was a ball player, had his number retired in the Red Sox organization there. So it was easy for me to pick it up early at an early age and go through the ranks of T-ball. And I stayed there all the way through to senior baseball before I made the move to Kingston.
Well, that's a lot of family pressure there. Did you feel a little bit under pressure to perform because you had this history of Gibsons, I
Yeah,
assume.
yeah, it's Gibbs. It's Gibbs. Actually, my mother's maiden name's Gibbs. Father
Okay.
Gibson. So yeah, it's always been something to say around here. But no, it was great growing up. It was something to definitely look up to. Lots of stories about um, his path through baseball, through Galt, through Brantford. Some stories about going south. He was a member of the St. Louis Cardinal organization at one time and was down in, I believe, Virginia. And to this day, he has passed, but his big thing was he never got a letter to say that he was released by St. Louis. So he still thought he was a member of the Cardinals.
He's gonna get called up for the World
That's
Series the
right.
rest of the
That's
season.
right. That's
It's
right.
amazing.
That's right.
So this clearly formulated your love for the game. What positions did you initially start playing?
Yeah, grew up T-ball, one of the taller kids on the team, so it was an easy you go to first, Brett, and good catch. So that's sort of how things got rolling with me. Um, Moved along over to shortstop, third base because could throw the ball a bit too. So yeah, that's how I got started. Didn't have wheels, so I wasn't really in the outfield much. So yeah, it was great playing first. The hot corner was great. Loved it, and I also loved all the action at first base as well.
Yeah, it's great. Where'd you go to school, and was there high school baseball at the time, or not?
Yeah, I went to school at North Park Collegiate. Unfortunately, Brantford was one of those cities that didn't do too many high school sports in the sense of hockey or baseball, both sports that I played growing up. A little disappointing. I've got a couple nephews that are going to NPC currently, and they're one's tried out grade 9, and the other one was on the team this year. So he was telling me all about it, how cool it was to play and against the other schools. So kind of cool from one perspective, and it was a little disappointing growing up and not having that available to us.
Yeah, I from what I remember of North Park Collegiate, they were big into football, right?
For
So
sure, for sure. Yeah, it was. I feel like a lot of time, a lot of effort was put into the program there. So, and justly because they were always a pretty good squad.
that's interesting.
Yeah.
So, do you remember what brought about um, did you have brothers or sisters, or was it a group of friends that you mostly gravitated towards while you were playing?
I would say like I have two older sisters. One did play softball. Like I said, my mom was uh, was a ball player when she was a kid, and my dad was very enthusiastic about sports. So he had me in the backyard playing catch at an early age, shooting balls at an early age. So all that kind of stuff a kid needs to do, more than one sport. It's always nice to have be able to play multiple sports for sure. As far as friends, yeah, a lot of kids around the neighborhood played. We found ourselves. I went to the elementary school at Briar Park. We were in Briar Park for the tennis courts. I feel like playing baseball from a grade 3 to grade 7, call it even. We just loved it. We loved playing, hitting dinger competitions and whatnot there. So pretty cool.
Yeah, it's a funny thing, right? From Brantford, Wayne Gretzky has spoken a lot about playing hockey and baseball. That was his
Yeah,
combination of things, and he said that made him a better hockey player because he took the time off and you develop different muscles, different reflexes, and that kind of stuff. So interesting that it comes from Brantford's most famous resident, other than Alexander Graham Bell.
yeah, that's right.
You know,
No, it's something that for sure. And we were aware at a young age, seeing Wayne's name on trophies for baseball as well was kind of cool. Like, the greatest hockey player ever to live, and here he is with a MVP trophy for a house league or something back in who knows when, 70s, I'm sure.
yeah, he's probably a great baseball player, right? Like
Yeah,
it's hard to envision, but that guy could probably be great at anything.
for sure.
What led you to choose McMaster? And do you remember whether it was, I guess it'd be proximity, but you're just as close in Brantford to Waterloo or,
Yep.
those schools, and
Yeah.
Western probably was on the horizon. Do you remember the schools and what led you to choose Mac?
I do. Yeah, I remember vividly, I guess you'd say. My oldest sister went to McMaster. Really enjoyed her time. My middle sister went to Laurier, so I had a couple of people to talk to about their experiences, what they enjoyed about it. Um, but I applied to end up applying to Brock at for sports management and Guelph. And Guelph was kind of my leading choice. I had a few buddies going there. We had talked a little bit about playing baseball if we got in and different things. And um, yeah, I ended up getting into Mac and made the right choice there. And there was something I used to watch. I don't know. You're familiar with the Brantford stations there. Rogers, yeah, they used to have the channels on, and McMaster was on against Laurier or Waterloo University back in, call it, '96. They were doing a game. So to me, I thought that was pretty cool that they were showing some baseball on TV too. And I liked what I saw.
Well, listen, you made the right choice not going to Guelph. I make fun of Guelph all the time because around that time they had the world's worst uniforms, like these hideous red
Yes.
and
Oh,
black. They just got it was boil in the sun. It was pretty bad. And I'm a bit of a stickler for uniforms. Not that Brock's wearing any great shakes either, but so what did you end up taking at Mac? And were you in res first year?
yeah, I was. I'd never been rolling in humanities, and I was at Edwards Hall, which was didn't apply for it for sure. I had a friend going in from high school from North Park, and we got the nod that we were in the all boys residence, all 104 of us there. So it actually turned out to be amazing, great experience. Scotty Hughes was part of that, and a buddy of mine that I've played ball with in Brantford and at McMaster. So yeah, it all worked out well. It was look, going into it, was definitely not sure what to expect, but it was very cool experience for sure.
That's great. Do you remember your first interactions with the coaching staff? Did they have contact with you before you went?
Yeah, no, I showed up to. I remember we were walking around at a humanities event. One of my friends from home, and I said, my parents think I should go out. Like, it's practice at 3:00 today. He's like, just do it. You got your stuff. I'll give you a ride. And it was just about 10 minutes walk off campus to Alexander Park, I believe it was, and showed up and was the only guy that hadn't been there for the first couple. But needless to say, I was given the chance to throw on the side and caught the eye of one Hank Romanowski, who we have many good times and stories about. But he was also a Brantford Red Sox at a time, so we hit it off well right away.
That's amazing. And we'll so the process was that they had been practicing already,
Yeah.
and you came and then you got integrated. You made the team. Was there like a cut down or a?
Yeah, we played. I got to pitch, like I said, on the side with one of the rookies that had joined as well. That was trying out. Got invited to an exhibition game off-site in Hamilton, somewhere in Hamilton Mountain. I forget where we played. It wasn't Bernie Arbor, but was given the opportunity and threw a few innings, gave up a couple runs, and when I came off the field, Don grabbed me. He said, "Listen," he's like, "lots of those fly balls will be grabbed. Cooper's not here. Pino's not here. Reason didn't come. All this," and he just reassured me that you pitch that like that, and you'll have a lot of success, and we'll have a lot of success as a team. So, kind of pet me up, made the team, and yeah, it was like I said, it was a whirlwind. It was within 5 days of joining the practice tryout and then playing in an exhibition game, and then the season starts right away. We were rolling. We were off to Guelph for 2.
Wow, that's amazing. And so 97 is your first year with the team. Is
Yes.
that correct? Okay.
Yeah.
So you're walking into a team that has a lot of incoming great players. Did you feel were you anticipating that the team was going to be that great, or did it shock you a little bit?
Yeah, no, I was shocked how how many veterans we had that were unbelievable. Like I said, it's meeting Craig Cooper the first time, Brad Reeson the first time, watching Doug Lunny play, Brad Arms throw. I can go on, and then we had about 8 or 9 of us that came in as rookies that year. So we filled the gaps that were left, but it was really impressive to watch. Watching 3 out of 4 games on a weekend for myself. So it was something else. I have not been a part of that kind of a team since. It was really fun to watch for sure.
So you make the team as a pitcher, is that correct?
Yes. Yeah, I was. I didn't put my hand up for first base or outfield. When they asked me what I did, I said I pitch because that was my strong suit, and probably the right choice with all the bodies that showed up that weren't out the tryouts, and at the exhibition games. I think I made the right choice of just saying I was a pitcher.
That's great. Now, what were your memories of the season? We won't touch on nationals at the moment, but
Sure.
What do you remember during the season, and what was it like playing for Coach Graves?
Yeah.
Lots of Henry stuff, but interesting to hear what your perception was of the head coach.
Yeah, as far as the season, I'll touch on that first. It was a great experience. We were, we were winning 4 out of 4, 3 out of 4 every weekend we went through. It was just amazing how we hit the ball. We had some pretty good arms, but we could put some runs up with the best of them with Brock, and Western was really starting to come on at that time too under Lumley. So yeah, for me it was all about getting in there. Not worrying about if I gave up a couple runs in the first couple, because I knew the boys had my back and they would be pounding the ball. And as far as Donnie goes, playing for him was great. Great leader, always positive. He could be emotional on the bench, which was good, get the boys going, because we weren't in a ton of tight games. But when it came to the Brock games, the Western games, he had us ready to go, and we were all fired up.
Well, he has the Wyatt Earp mustache, so you have to listen to him.
Absolutely. You don't want to mess with Donnie there, for sure.
No. So tell me a little bit about, obviously, you're in the same residence as Dr. Scott Hughes.
Yeah.
Tell me some of the other people that you're starting to develop relationships with, and, who are your better friends on the team as you go through the year in 97?
Yeah, I would say, developed with, like I said, with Scotty, just residents. Dave Thibodeau was in our residence as well. So we kind of stuck together a little bit, made sure we got to practice or got to campus right times. Met a good friend, really good friend there, and Adam Dusky. He was a Lucan boy, and he's same height. He's a little bit bigger than me at the time, but he was unbelievable, funny, talented. He could do a lot of different things, but he was a great guy, and we kind of bonded in the first year, and we're pals in the bullpen, if you want to.
Well, the bullpen's always an interesting place, as you know. It's
for sure.
The weirdest conversations happen there. Do you, before we get into slaying that Brock Dragon and stuff, do you have any crazy stories that you remember from the 97 year? I mean, you must have a couple of Henry. Everyone's got a Henry story.
Oh, we've all got them. Everybody's got the fishnet for sure. And the other one was him hanging on the fence as we drove into Bernie Arbor, stretching. I don't even know what he was up to, but it was fantastic to watch. Yeah, we spent a lot of time in the pen. Like I said, I pitched, so it was, you're not starting, you're down in the pen because we had 20 guys, right? It was a busy bench. Met up with a guy named Mark Bevilacqua. He was an older gentleman, I'll call him, but he's an older player at the time. But he always brought a lunch. The story goes, I feel like he took care of us. Dusky and I were down there, always hungry, always looking for something to do, something to eat. And he's the guy that always had a lunchbox. It didn't matter if we were playing a Wednesday night game, a Saturday morning, Sunday morning game. that guy always took care of us, and we really appreciate him for sure. He showed us the way in year one.
Well,
He was great.
super important. It's I remember when Sports Illustrated was a magazine before it became a AI scandal-ridden website like it is today. When it was a magazine, I remember one of the very first things I read was an article by Dan Quisenberry. So this would have been before there was, the Players Journal or any of these kinds of things.
Yep.
And he wrote a article rating the food choices at all of the bullpens that you
No
could.
kidding.
Yeah. So
That's fantastic.
He always said that Milwaukee was the best because they would smuggle down some brats and, eat them in the bullpen. So, I think the lunchbox in the bullpen thing, I think, is brilliant. But, that requires now people have to up their game a little bit, right?
For sure. Yeah, another just a funny story touch on there too is Adam and I, for whatever reason, I forget how we got drummed up, but we had tons of leaders on the team. Reese, Lenny, Coop, RMC. It was great, but for whatever reason, I forget how it came about, honestly, but we were the co-captains. And it's something that stuck with the team. Donnie would say a speech before the game. He'd ask the captains, whatever, and it got to a point where it's like, he turned to the guys, us, Dusky and I, he's like, co-captains, anything to say? And we used to, just walk around, thought we were the funniest guys, always trying to be in charge and trying to be part of the vets. And, the guys were good to us, and Donnie, I thought it was pretty funny. So thankfully, but, it was just something that was ongoing. I feel like that stayed with us the 4 years we played. Even if we were the captains, we were the co-captains.
Well, that's super cool. So
yeah, for sure.
Tell me a little bit about, something I haven't asked a lot of pitchers about, but we all were born with the same annoyance if we've pitched in the IBL or I played in the U.S. League that used wooden bats. Tell me what it's like throwing again. How annoying it is throwing to aluminum bats, which were the weapon of choice for those early years of SEBA. It was all aluminum bats, which made pitching really difficult. Yeah,
for sure. Just knowing the difference, I guess, really from my third year to the first year with the aluminum, it was night and day. You make a great pitch on the outside corner, guy fight one off the end of the bat that probably would have broke a piece of the bat off, or jam him, and then that bat would have been snapped, and there he goes over the shortstop's head and for a single. It was tough, a lot of good hitters, I guess you'd say too, they just know, just got to get a piece, got to fight it off, and definitely annoying for sure. I was super excited to pitch the wood bats in 99, I believe it came in, or 2000 for sure. It night and day. Just the swings were so different moving forward for everybody. Our guys too. The scores weren't as 12-2 or 12-7. It was a ball game again. It was make the right pitches, and win 4-2. For sure.
Yeah, it's night and day, and people don't understand just how differently you also have to pitch, because you have to be, movement's really important when you're dealing with aluminum bats, because you cannot let it hit that barrel. If it hits the barrel, it's going to go find the gap a lot of times, and something that would be, so that's interesting to hear that perspective as someone who threw against both. So you've got these rivalries with a developing Western team, but I don't think it's quite the horrendous death match that is the Brock and McMaster at this point. Tell me a little bit about what that feeling was like playing. And you can be honest. Tell me what you thought of the Brock Badgers.
I'll tell you a funny story to start. My first start against Brock was in Hamilton. And it was my second start. So first start at home, warming up in the pen. The jerseys and stuff that we had were kind of, we had 20 guys or whatever, so they're all different. Some are cloth, some are nice, but they were jerseys. So I ended up with one of the cloth ones being the new boys. And I don't think I got a belt when I was handing out the pants and everything. So I was warming up in the bullpen and got out to the mound, threw my warm up pitches, and I see catcher Fortuna kind of look at me like, you don't have a belt on. And I didn't really pick it up. One of the old vets, I forget who it was, came flying out and took his belt off because he wasn't playing the first game and made me throw it on the hill. He's like, you can't do this. Those boys are all over you already. And I kind of got the experience right away from both my bench and their bench. Like, oh boy, this is all business. And yeah, right after that, facing the likes of Rick Bottomley right away, Matt Fletcher, the 10-ish Walker. It was just wild. The boys could swing it, and they were scary on the bags as well.
Well, I think it's safe to say that, and we bring up Matt Fletcher, but he seems to be a lightning rod because the other you guys didn't really care for Matt's intensity. Let's put it that way. And I think particularly Henry was not a Fletch fan.
For sure. No, I can back that up for sure. He was definitely not on my love letter list there for sure. I do remember throwing a little inside a couple of times at Matty. But it was just intense. Lounsbury yelling from the side, your boys from the bench yelling, and our guys yelling right back. It was great. It was, again, nothing that I've ever experienced growing up playing midget, juvenile, into junior. Some intensity there. You get to hate guys after playing 24 games and playoff series and all that kind of stuff. But the intensity was inning one, batter one. Our coaches had advised us what the skill level was like, what everything was like. They had us prepped for sure. It didn't disappoint either.
So we'll get to the famous '97 elimination of Brock here shortly. Let's take a little step back and talk about life in residence, because it is a kind of a McMaster tradition. Can you explain to everybody what a Purple Jesus party is?
Funny you say that. That's week one in Frosh Week. We had one, and it was there was kegs of beer, but kegs of this Purple Jesus that they brought in, and there was one on every floor. And for us at Edwards Hall, it was, like I said, it's 102 guys, and no other guys were allowed in. It was every girl from every residence were invited, and they were bringing a cup and they were drinking free, and it was a spectacle for sure. Every floor was jammed and everything was it was so much fun. But then I'm pretty sure the next morning was the first exhibition game too. So it was something. Tried to not have too much fun and stay focused, knowing that you had to pitch at 11 o'clock in the morning on the Sunday.
Do you happen to remember what the hell was in the purple alcohol concoction?
Can't say I drank too much of it. I imagine it'd be some sort of vodka, some sort of juice, but honestly, no idea. But it was a massive hit, and I feel like everybody was drawn to it. So kind of cool. But yeah, I totally remember it from Frosh Week.
Yeah, it's kind of a McMaster thing. It's great.
Yes.
So you then have, obviously, this monumental series. I think it's at a best of 3 games against Brock. And so tell me a little bit about what that was like to live through. And I think at this point is where we can kind of introduce Brad Reeson, because he kind of, in a very clutch way, kind of came through for you guys. But what were those games like, and what was it like finally getting over the Brock hurdle there?
Yeah, for sure. And we, just to set the scene, I think we had, I think we ended up 14-2, and I think Brock was 13-3 or something for the season. So it was tight. We split, I think, the regular season, and, the intensity picked up even more. Our leaders stepped up. Like Brad Reeson was unbelievable at the plate, unbelievable in the field. The defense, we haven't really touched on the defense, but defensively we were so impressive. Coop in center, Pino in right. We had many left fielders. We had a lot of guys with opportunity to play. And Doug Lunny third, Scotty Ralph short, Scotty Hughes at first. And like I said, I had two guys that came in with me, rookie catchers, Matt Fortuna, who was awesome. I played ball with him in Brantford after as well. And Mike Gurley, who was fantastic. Local guy there, Stony Creek, Hamilton guy. So they were awesome. They were all, we were all, follow the lead of the Reasons and Coops. And and it was intense. And it was a battle at McMaster to get it done. We did not want to go back to Brock for a game 3 because things would, we just know it'd be tough to clinch it on the road.
Well, that's great. So I and that probably unleashes a few years of frustration. And so tell me about winning the national championship and what your memories are of that particular experience.
Yeah, it was crazy year. Like just getting past Brock and then heading to Brock as the host. They were the hostess, so another battle. I think Dalhousie was there. I think I pitched against Dalhousie. Laval we met in the finals was fantastic. It was snowing off and on, I feel like, for a better part of the game, and it was one of those things where we just found some momentum late, got some key hits, made some really good defensive plays to limit the damage, and it's had some clutch plays at the end to get through. Yeah, it was something else.
Must be a special feeling and one that you revisit. Obviously, we'll talk about the team getting inducted at McMaster into the Hall of Fame there. But tell me about the next couple of years of your career and anything that stands out in terms of craziness or people that made an impact on your life, friendships that were made.
Yeah.
It's important to touch on people's career outside of the high points, right? For
sure. We had a lot of, like I said, we had a lot of great leaders and a lot of guys that were done after 97 into 98, done in 98. So they definitely turned the reins over to, I feel like Scotty Hughes, myself, Dusky was there. Jeff Aikett was another guy that was such a good guy. He worked his butt off all the time and really took to him off the field as well. He was, intelligent guy, but liked to have fun. And it was nice to hang around with guys like that off the field as well, for sure. But we had some really good teams. We were strong, and 98 was it finished to be a tough year. We did lose to Brock to go to Dalhousie, I think it was, or out to New Brunswick. I think New Brunswick. Yeah. So disappointing for sure. It was another dogfight of a year with the Brock team, and like I said, other teams were slowly catching up and starting to take shape within Western and Laurier starting to build, and we took note. We weren't ready to give up the battle with you guys for the top 2 teams for a while, but yeah, it was something else. We just a lot more guys came in and out of the program. We had some really good players. Dexter Brozo was another one that was with me year 1. He could just hit. He was an outstanding third baseman as well. And, watching guys like that and having some guys return for masters or getting into med school like Pino. And it was just fun to be around those guys for as long as I could.
What was it like having Billy Newton as a coach? My God, I can't imagine.
Newton and I had a good relationship. He was he challenged me year after year to get better. He's he was a talented player, an amazing third base coach, and he got the boys fired up as well. Like he knew what it took. To play hard, to prepare, and make sure you're ready to go for the first pitch on. he didn't let off the gas. We didn't let off the gas when he was around. So, yeah, he was, for me, like personally, he every year he challenged me to be better, and he let me know, whether it was on the field, sometimes at the bar, he let me know that I had to be better. But that was all part of it. I enjoyed it. It made me want to be, uh, you know, one of the leaders of the team and perform well.
It's amazing. It's, are there, was it hard to balance school and being on a varsity team? Did you find that difficult, or because it was there right from first year, was it just something you were used to at that point?
Yeah, for sure. It's something like I said, the season starts right away. So it's something that you just, I don't want to say learn to deal with, but what you have to do, what you can do, can't do right away. Balancing your schedule, making sure you can get to as many practices as you can, so stay sharp, and making sure that staying on top of studies as best as possible for those, call it 6 weeks, 7 weeks, whatever it is for baseball season. Yeah, it was interesting for sure, but it was something to look forward to every September for sure.
That's great. So tell me how your McMaster career kind of winds up, and you end up playing in Brantford for the storied Red Sox team.
Yeah, for sure.
Tell me a little bit about that. And first off, did your family used to come to your Mac games? Like, was there a whole section of Gibbs and Gibsons?
Yes, there was for sure. Every Saturday morning. So I said the big joke was, I didn't want to pitch on a Sunday because I know we're going out Saturday night. So every home game on a Saturday, Donnie, hey, here's the ball, away you go and do your thing, and the rest was history. But yeah, my parents were there at every game, every road game. They didn't miss. Grandmother, aunts, uncles, cousins, you name it, sisters. Were around to support when they weren't at school or busy with other things. But yeah, it was wild. Every game didn't matter. Like again, Wednesday night, Thursday night, Saturday day, whatever. They were there all the time. It was great support. Great to see them in the stands. Kind of give you a little bit more motivation to perform well, because nobody wants to go talk to mom and dad after the game after a tough outing.
No, that is part of being a pitcher, man.
There
It's
you
just
go.
like, so how does your career wind up at Mac, and what made the decision to continue? And you just loved the game and you wanted to continue in Brantford?
Yeah, I played junior the first couple years, I guess, of playing at McMaster, and yeah, I wanted to keep playing baseball. I wasn't happy being done at 21, 22 years old. So once I finished up in Mac in 2001, came back to Brantford. We had new ownership in Brantford. I played a couple years there, and we had new ownership right away. Worked for the gentleman who I played t-ball for when I was a kid. Kind of took me in under his wing and got me a job right away, and was very flexible with our schedule in the summer. And it turned out in 2003 we also got a new manager in Rick Johnson, which was a great experience for me. Somebody that's on the Ontario and Canadian scene as a coach for many years. Great guy, great to play for, fiery, a lot of fun. When things are going well, they're going well, and he will keep you honest for sure. But yeah, we had a lot of fun. It was so many young kids from Team Ontario came up and played, and we had a lot of veterans around. Like I said, Matty Fortuna, Scotty Hughes was there for the run in 2003. We ended up beating out Oshawa in the first round. Not sure if you played with the likes of Ryan Croton, I think it was, Ken Calloway. These are some of the names I remember from the Oshawa guys. Yeah, and we got to play the Leafs in the second round, and it was Spaljarek and the Butler brothers. So it was, it was it.
I know those. I know not Paul. I mean, Paul and I've crossed outside of baseball, but
Yeah,
I pitched against both Butler brothers. and you would have played one of my old teammates for sure. Dave Hatch was
Oh yeah, yeah,
on that team, and Hans
yep,
Schnell, a couple of old
yes,
Oshawa guys.
veterans. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, they're yes, yeah. That's they had a great team too. They were solid, top to bottom for sure. Got by them in 7 games, and then on to Guelph in the finals, and ran out of steam a little bit at the end, and ended up losing in Game 7. But was a heck of a season, heck of a way, and finished up in Brantford. Really worked a little bit after that, and made a decision to move down to Kingston in the fall of 2003.
yeah. So romance is obviously in the air at McMaster, because there's been several of you that
That's right.
met your future wives at Mac. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, absolutely. I met Amy in probably second year. We met through one of my housemates, and who was good friends with her growing up, and we crossed paths. We both were in different relationships at the time, and came around to third year, and yeah, we just hit it off. We ended up getting a job together in third year summer through my buddy Dusky, who was science and engineering. He ran the program there for summer for kids. You went to school, you visited schools, and then they came to you for when they were out of school for a month as well. So it was kind of neat to do that. Like I said, it was in humanities, so I had no business being in that. But he hooked me up because I asked him to hook her up as well. So he's also a big reason why things worked out. I give him props all the time. Him and my buddy Jeff Naylor for getting us together, and yeah, the rest is history.
Well, it's an ongoing history, my friend.
Yes, for sure.
So you go to Kingston, and obviously a new community. It's on the eastern side of. Had you had any exposure to other than maybe traveling there to play Queens?
Yeah,
Was
Queens
it
wasn't on our loop even yet, so
brand spanking new for you?
brand spanking new. Was here probably as a 12, maybe 13-year-old playing hockey for a weekend. So that's all I had seen. Obviously, coming down to visit Amy off and on, got to know a little bit about Kingston. But yeah, when it was a full move, it was her and her roommates and myself, and I had one buddy from McMaster, Brian Sutherland, who's a great friend of Scotty Hughes as well. He was here for a year working away. So yeah, it wasn't a bad transition. Obviously it was different being away from family. Had all my family down that way. Not being too close to the GTA was kind of strange. And every sports that was around here, we were, it was a travel to Ottawa for an hour and a half, hour 45, 2 hours, or a travel into Whitby, Oshawa for the same thing. So a little bit different for sure.
Yeah, you probably rack up the kilometers pretty quick, and So tell me a little bit about transitioning into coaching, and is that something that has always been in your blood, where you're kind of like a mentor to other players, or is it just something you've kind of naturally kind of gone into? Like, was this something that your family did as well, or?
Yeah, I feel like getting some good instruction early from my grandfather was key. Just feeling comfortable with mechanics and being able to explain things to others, why I do this, or why things work this way or whatever. That's I was okay speaking to that. And to be honest, my boy got into baseball at a very early age, and then I helped out and kind of enjoyed it. He quit baseball the year after, but picked it up a couple years later again when he got a little bit older and started to enjoy it. And yeah, I followed him and helped out here and there in his house league development. He was asked to play for a select team. Stood on the side, watched him develop with other coaches. It was great. Then got asked to help here in Kingston, and sort of bugged people. One of my buddies that played Kingston Ponies here for a few years in town as well, and he said, "Why are you not coaching? How are you not coaching? You got to get out there. You got to give back." And that kind of made me realize, like, yeah, why stand on the sidelines when you have stuff to give back? And very important, not only for my son's development, but for all the kids that were there. Where everybody needs skill development, whether it's, like you said, the mental part, the physical part. It was just nice to contribute and help them develop. And I've been with the same group for the last, call it 4 years, 5 years, with through COVID and everything. So it's been great. I've really enjoyed it. I enjoy the managerial part of it as well, like trying to come up with making the right decision at the right time, everything, trying to balance bullpens, lineups, equal play time as much as it could when they're young. They're starting to be a little bit older, so that's a little easier now. Play kind of speaks for themselves as they get into 16, 17, 18. So yeah, it's been a fun ride. I've really enjoyed it.
Here's a good question for a baseball pitcher coming from another one. When do you think they should start throwing a curveball?
That's, I was always led to believe that um, later the better. Just you want to be able to pitch when you're a late teenager, and if you want to play university baseball, it's something that you don't want to mess around with early. So last year, at the end of the year, when they were 14, turning 15, it was something that people that were inquisitive asked me. I talked to their parents. For me, that's the big thing. The parents got to be on board as well. Kids can ask all they want, but it's up to the parents to make that tough decision, because they start to see lots of breaking balls when they're playing at a select or all-star level like they are. And they just got to know the risks as well as the rewards. So yeah, for me, it was 14, 15, and that seemed like a good age to get into it. That's sort of when I developed more of a pitcher. I started working on my off speed a little bit more. And I think it was 16 when somebody showed me an over, like a 12-6. And for me, that changed my whole pitching career. I developed a new pitch, and thank Jan Uran for that every day. He was a pitching coach for us, I think back in midget or bantam and midget probably. And it was night and day for, relying on a fastball fully, a little bit of a change, and then you develop a nice bender and keeps everybody off balance for sure.
Yeah, that's for sure. It's interesting. So I'm going to ask you a pitching question before we get into, some hilarity. What do you think of the effect of analytics in the modern game and how they pull pitchers 2 times through a lineup and that kind of stuff?
Yeah, it's a different game from what I played back in the day. It was if you were going, and you were throwing your 130 or 140 pitches and trying to finish the game. To me, watching the game, I can think back to when Snell got pulled in the World Series. That kind of stuff didn't sit well with me. I know that it was all analytics based. That's just Tampa Bay Cash and their theory. But to me, you got to have a feel for the game, the situation, and if a pitcher is mowing and going strong, then you should not be pulling him, even if it's the 3rd time through and it's the Dodgers coming up, or you know what I mean. It's just you got to let him work.
Yeah, it's the old school in me would just, and look at the Brock coaches, especially when McRae was there in the first year, they were heavy pitch count guys. So you were done at 100 pitches no matter what, or 75 or whatever number they had in mind for you. And but that ran so counterintuitive. I had this old school great pitching coach in Oshawa who pitched against Willie McCovey and these guys, and he was one of those guys that I better not, you better not ever volunteer to come off that mound. I'll have to shoot you. And
right.
I kind of took that a little too seriously sometimes, but I'm kind of with you. I think that if the pitcher's in the head of the opposition and they're really controlling the game, I think you're actually doing the opposition a favor by pulling that person, because it doesn't matter who comes next. It's just like that guy's out. Thank God.
Right. Yeah. How many
Interesting.
times growing up did you say it was a victory when you get to the bullpen? You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like there could be some good stuff coming behind it, but it was a victory once you got the starter out of the game. Just that mindset, like you talk about the mental part of the game it's huge. Yeah, it's a little different now. Numbers controlled a bit more, and I can understand a little bit, but professional athletes, I feel like the feel for it. I'm not sure, like the old school Dusty Bakers, if they go off more feeling than call it one of the new coaches that rely on all the analytics.
Well, all I got to say is Dusty's got a ring managing.
That's right.
You know,
He knows what he's doing.
here's a really fun question for you.
Yep.
What signal or what signal did the catcher give you when they wanted you to flip someone, throw inside, hit them with the ball?
Oh, middle finger for sure.
Middle finger every
Yeah,
time.
absolutely. Middle finger. Yeah. There's no, nothing else. If you got the middle finger, I was like, all right, here we go.
Yeah.
Hope you're ready to grab him too, because I'm ready.
Yeah, it's when you get it, it's coming,
Yeah.
and I've been in a couple brawls, and most of the time when you're a pitcher, you don't end up in the middle of it. You end up with another pitcher, and you pretend that you're going to get
Right.
into it.
Right.
Do you have any good? Have you been in a brawl before? Have you started?
Yeah, I would say like growing up in Brantford, we had some pretty tough teams going through midget, juvenile, and not so much in junior, but yeah, I feel like we got into it a few different times. London's in the world, they were very strong and very lippy. Everybody thought they thought they could beat us up and on the scoreboard as well. So a couple of times it came to fisticuffs, but it was nothing crazy. It was broken up pretty quick, but our guys weren't afraid to say the least, for sure.
Okay. I have a good question for you. Were you superstitious as a ball player? And if you are, what were your superstitions?
Yeah, absolutely. I developed a few different ones over the years. I didn't. I was one of the guys that didn't like to touch the line. Going out to the mound, coming out of the mound. I didn't mind being the last guy out to the field every time. That's kind of my thing for in between innings. I didn't want to rush out there, especially if the catcher was last out or whatever. Took my time, even if the umpires were pushing the envelope there and getting me back out there. But yeah, a few things. I feel like I ran to certain spots, stopped at Mac in the outfield, stretched. Did the same thing in Brantford at Cockshut Park and stopped. My grandfather, like I said, had his number retired up there. Stopped right by him, stretched. Just the little things that nobody else would pick up on. That I feel like little things that baseball guys do. It's just I was always big into that kind of stuff.
Yeah, me too.
Especially if you're successful, right? You don't want
Yeah.
to change it.
What's the strangest one you've seen? I've seen some pretty bloody strange ones, but
Yeah, there's I don't know. Everybody's different. Everybody wants to shower last or shower right before the game. Something stupid, just to set the coaches off and call it their routine or whatever. Just little things like that no other sport, let's just do the odd thing for sure.
Yeah, I played with a guy in Detroit who would, have to take a wicked dump every time just before the game. And, like that was the worst because the coaches, like idiots, because he was having a great year, would make us stay in the damn dressing room until he was done, in which case half of us were sick by the time we took the field.
Yes.
And then these are the stupid things that people do. I remember another one that would wear 3 pairs of socks, another one that would, have to shake everybody's hand in kind of a weird OCD-ish kind of way.
You know what? Another good one that I just picked up playing with Scotty again in Brantford. He was Dr. Hughes. He was something else too. He had his own superstition. He didn't wash his jersey pants for an entire season in 2003. He was I think my parents and them were all calling him Pigpen by the end of it. He was just covered, and he was he was something else. He was a specimen to play with for sure.
Well, you wouldn't want to stand near him.
I got to ride down to lots of games with him too, so it was always good to smell the bag coming down the road, coming down the QEW or head down the 401.
Well, I'm sure that I was saying to him on his podcast that our coach, Coach McRae, if he could grab your hair under your hat, you couldn't play.
Really,
Like we were kind of like the Reds or the Yankees in that way. And he's now he's looking all West Coast, right? He's got to kind of get the beard, and he's rocking a lot. He's looking a little bit like he's from Kamloops.
Yeah, that's right.
That's a good question. I mean, it leads to a really good, who do you stay in touch with the most? Obviously, after that's almost 30 years now since you played. Any of these people in your wedding or that you're still close with?
I feel like Scotty, Dusky was in my wedding. Scotty was invited to my wedding. I feel like pick up the phone for either one of those guys, and it's just like we're down in the bullpen again. Just a little different when we all have family, all have kids, and just try to find some quiet time to act like we're 20 years old again for about 5 or 10 minutes and shoot the shit. And, it's great. Those guys are I'd say the two that, off the top of my head, we got to see everybody a few years back at the Hall of Fame. So it was nice to touch base. And prior to that, playing in Brantford, got to see lots of people that played in the IBL. Moving to Kingston, saw lots of people at the OBAs, which was great too. The guys I never saw for a while either. It's just I would say those two boys are at the top of the list for sure.
That's good. Let me ask you about what it was like. What was Brad Reason like as a person and as a teammate?
Yeah, Brad was a super guy. Equal treatment. He was great to the rookies coming in right away. And there was a lot of us, so he had to be a pretty good guy anyways. But super good guy, showed us the ropes. When he spoke, you listened because he wasn't always talking and carrying on and like this is what we got to do. He led by example. He was an excellent hitter defensively, probably one of the top in the league for sure, if not the best numbers wise for sure. So slick with a glove, could crush a ball. And like when I first saw him hit, you always try to as a pitcher, you always kind of look at the guy like, how's this guy gonna give one a ride? And Brad stepped up. He's lean, and he could crush a ball to right center, left center, didn't matter, and run like hell too. So, he was a great leader, a great friend on the team. And again, he was always a good role model for all the young guys coming up.
Yeah, and we were congregating everybody. Obviously, it calls a certain amount of awareness to make sure you get screened now that we're all getting close to 50 or in my case over it. Brad retired relatively early from baseball. He stopped playing when he was 25, I think, or 26. And he just devoted his life to other things. And when I do my own podcast, I'll talk about these ridiculous visits to his cottage where he would make me swim across the lake, and then he'd be like, let's go for a 5K run. And then he'd be wanting to line up the bike. And I'd be like, there's no damn. I didn't come here to do a triathlon. Let's crack a beer. Yes. But, really good guy and very gentle, kind guy. I don't think people understand that. He's a vicious competitor, but just smiling and a real gentle soul from that perspective. Yeah. Tell me a little bit about the honor of being inducted into the McMaster Baseball Hall of Fame. What does that mean to you today, and what was the experience like? Yeah,
I guess the initial email that we got from McMaster, and and our coaches was pretty amazing. After you play and you're gone from the program for from quite some time, you think about it from time to time when you see the guys or talk to the guys that you played with. But when we got the call in regards to the whole team getting inducted to the Hall of Fame, it was, and that the fact that we were all going to get together one more time was very special. My kids were excited here. They've heard lots of stories about Dad and Mom meeting at McMaster, and asking Mom if she ever watched Dad, and all that kind of good stuff. So yeah, it was really a thrill for me just to know that, see some of the coaching staff, see a lot of the players, a lot of the guys were there, which was great. Yeah, it was surreal. It's cool to know that we're part of history. We made history in '97, and we'll be remembered for sure.
Well, at least you guys in '97 had freaking maroon uniforms as opposed to the blue ones they were playing with in '94.
Yeah, that's right.
Kind of tell me, what the baseball experience just meant for your life in general. I mean, other than it being a good, 3-4 year stint at Mac, what kinds of things did that teach you in terms of the way you've lived the rest of your life?
Yeah, absolutely. All positives, like the competitor I became through baseball, especially at McMaster with the leadership of the coaches, the guys that the year that in '97 when we came in, just the guys that provided all the leadership and said all the right things all the time, meant a lot. For me, just being a competitor, understanding what it takes to be successful, it kind of carried over into your life. You want to make sure that you have a successful family, marriage, employment. Yeah, it touches home with you for sure. So it meant a lot to play the game of baseball, especially at McMaster.
That's great, Brett. Let me ask you this. In about 6.5 months' time, your wife and kids might be able to see you squeeze into a uniform one more time. Think you're going to be able to pitch an inning or two?
You know what? I pitched last year. Actually played men's league last year here in Kingston, and
Okay.
I hadn't thrown in, call it 6-7 years for sure. After I finished with the senior ponies in town, and it went well. It was nice to get out. My arm's a little bit sore now. I've injured it during the off season, so very doubtful I'll be able to throw, but it still will be nice to come down. And the guys might see me swing the bat for the first time. Who knows?
Well, I think we're going to be in trouble. We may need to use a pitching machine at this point. It's. I was just talking to Chris Evil at Brock, and he can't throw anymore. So I'm like, well, you're going to swing a bat then.
That's right. Just to be a
Yeah.
part of it is going to be fantastic.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
and I think it'll be great to, get Brad's family there. We have a guy that you guys don't know about, mostly a guy named Todd Nye, who was on our first year team, who lost his eyesight in his right eye from a freak accident. He had a sinus infection. The ball glanced off of his glove and hit him here.
Okay.
It punctured his sinus cavity, which was infected with sinus infection, and his eyes swelled out, and they had to fly him to London and to save his life. But he lost sight in his right eye. It ended his baseball career at Brock, and he's now a principal. And but always been the best attitude guy you could possibly imagine.
Yeah.
As a leader of people and an educator these days. So he'll be able to take the field and pitch for the first time in 30 years. And I don't think there'll be a dry eye in the house.
That's fantastic. That's fantastic news. That's great.
Todd is just, and I can't say it enough. If you get a chance to watch his podcast, you'll see what an incredible person. And we all celebrate the incredible people. They kind of stand out to us. So, the one thing that will end this off on, a couple things actually. So Scott, Dr. Scott, informed me that all of you were carrying nicknames. Now, I assume that yours is the same as everyone who carries the last name Gibson and you're Gibby.
For sure.
What's the worst nickname you've ever heard?
Oh, geez. I feel like nickname out of Edwards Hall was Meat, so I got Meat, and it was tough, but well, it was something to live with for the first year, anyways. So yeah, kind of funny. Made me think of Bull Durham right away, so didn't mind it, live with it, and I don't think anybody's called me that for quite some time.
Yeah, this is, it's amazing when
Yeah.
it comes with the punishment of physical violence,
Yeah.
So Brett, you've had a lot of, there's a lot of teammates in that time period, and some you wouldn't have seen. Is there anyone after 30 years that you just thought, I wonder what that guy's up to? And Jesus, I've been curious, and I'm looking forward to seeing them.
Yeah, absolutely. There's so many guys, thinking back to 97 and up through the career, there's so many good guys I played with. Excited to see Robbie Pino, Dr. Robbie Pino, another doctor from the team, but he's a good guy, another guy that was just a leader right from the get-go, solid five-tool guy, just an outstanding person, and always had time for me, and we always had time to have fun together. He was roommates with a guy from Brantford, so he got to know the humor from the Brantford boys right away. So he was always somebody that I really enjoyed hanging around with, chatting with, and it'll be nice to see him and his family come 3 or 4 or 5 months from now.
It's amazing, Brett.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. It's great. They clearly were doing something with the water in Brantford because, good people who can throw a ball.
That's right.
Seem to be a thing there. So, thank you so much for today, and we look forward to seeing you soon. And if I'm down in Kingston, we'll go grab a beer. But
absolutely,
rehab that shoulder because
got some time.
I think you're going to need it. Thanks, man.
Thanks again, Mike. Appreciate it.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.